Hello, everybody, and welcome to another live Argentina discussion. My name is Roy Nemer of Mundo Albiceleste.com. I'm joined by Osvaldo Godoy of Mundo Albiceleste.com. We are live on Facebook, on X, and on YouTube. We are here to talk about Paulo Dybala being called up to the Argentina national team for the South American World Cup qualifiers. We're going to talk about Nico Gonzalez joining Juventus. We're going to talk about Cristian Romero scoring, Juan Musso potentially going to Atletico Madrid, and everything. As always, let us know down below in the comments where you are watching us from. We tend to get from all around the world, so do let us know. First things first, Osvaldo, how are you and how is everything?
I'm doing good. I think we had some good news for the Argentina national team the last couple of days, especially with Dybala today. First, it was a really good news of him staying in Roma. I think all the football fans really celebrated a player like him to not go to the Saudi Arabia League. We know that a lot of players, great players, are going there. But how good it is for him, for the national team, and now that Scaloni called him for this September World Cup qualifiers.
It's huge. I mean, we were talking about this. We have been talking about this for the last 2 weeks or so. Everybody on the chat, everybody in social media, about how Dybala looks set to be joining Saudi Arabia, going to the Gulf. He said no, he's going to stay with Roma. He cited family, friends. He said the money was there, but no, he wants back into the Argentina national team, and he is back into the Argentina national team. And that is it's very good news. It's very good news. Let's get to the chat. Let's see how everybody is doing. First things first, I just want to say a big shout out to David. All the best to your mom, David. Hopefully she gets better, whatever it is that she appears to be going through. And thank you for the kind words. We have BC all the way from NYC, as always. I forgot to mention David from West Sydney, Australia. BC from NYC. Paro Miguel, welcome, Paro Miguel. All the way from Nigeria at 1:04 a.m. In Nigeria. Thank you for spending your Tuesday morning or late Monday night with us. Rian and Rihanna, good morning. Good morning. All the way from Nepal as well. Varun, if I'm not mistaken, from Toronto as well. Thank you very much for joining us, Varun, spending your Monday night. Let's see, Elmer Sabi Paulo's back. He must be so happy after being left out of the Copa America. Yes, and we are too, and we're going to talk about that as well. Sharif, oh yes, we're on Twitter, it's on X, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on everything. We're absolutely everywhere right now. A big hello to Hemlock as well. So let us know, what do you guys think of Paulo Dybala staying at Roma and joining the Argentina national team, being called up? This is very good news, especially with no Lionel Messi and, of course, Angel Di Maria now retiring from the national team.
Yeah, no, I think that those two things, first with Messi continue with his injury and also with his decision of staying in the Serie A, I think those two big things are the reasons why Scaloni called Dybala. Because let's remember, Dybala was not called up for the Copa America, and we talk a lot about that, and maybe Carboni being in his place. I don't know if Messi was fit, if Dybala would have been called up. The truth is that Messi's continue to be injured, and this is great news for Dybala. I also want to see at one point Dybala will have minutes in this qualifiers. That's going to be interesting. I see Scaloni not putting the starting lineup against both teams. I think that this couple of matches are matches where we can try new things. We can try with youngsters, and why not? We can also try with Paulo Dybala replacing Messi in that right wing position of the field, which is something we always expected. I mean, Dybala now has 31 years old, and we were kind of always wanting him to be in that role when Messi is not fit. Well, his time come. We'll see if in the trainings he shows Scaloni that he doesn't only want to be there with the squad, he also wants to be an important part of this team.
Absolutely, I cannot put it better. You know, it's one thing to be called up to the national team, and it's another to end up playing with the national team. And we'll get back to that in just a second. Let's get to Elmer. Elmer is saying the Albiceleste needs a creator since there's no Lionel Messi, so Paulo is the man for the role. This is going to be his time. You know, this is going to be his time to shine. He's 30 years old, if I'm not mistaken. He'll soon be 31. This is it. I mean, this is it. This is his time for him. No Messi, no Di Maria. technically one of the veterans of this team. We have the comment here bringing it back up. Elmer saying Argentina need a creator. Dybala can certainly be that creator. And it will be interesting to see, does he end up playing? Does he end up starting both matches or one of the matches? Because we've seen Scaloni in the past. It tends to be two wingers, and then you have a striker. So, could we get a Nico Gonzalez, a Garnacho, and then in the middle, a Lautaro or a Julian? Time will tell, and we'll get a better idea the closer we get to the games. But, I would like to see Dybala get some minutes, start one of the matches, or even both, depending on how he does. His confidence. I know Roma are not doing too well, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But his confidence must be pretty high, to turn down that big money move and then be called up to the Argentina national team. That's got to be big. That's got to be massive for him. So very, very excited for him. Very much so.
Yes. No, and I think that it's a really good gesture of Scaloni towards a player that was so good in the last couple of years. For me and for most of us here, I think it was a big surprise to not see him, at least in the 26 squad of the Copa America. Well, now he has a spot. I'm taking a look at the list of Argentina towards these matches in September. I see a lot of players in that position. I see Valentin Carboni. I see Matias Solé. I see Nicolas Gonzalez, who can also play as a left winger, but he's also lefty. So we'll see. We'll see at what point Dybala has minutes, and if he is ahead of all these players. If you talk about the experience of the players and how good Dybala is, I would put him ahead of all of these players that I'm naming. But the truth is that in Scaloni's consideration, maybe he's the fourth out of these four that I mentioned.
That's very true. That's very true. It wasn't a surprise not to see him at the Copa America. Absolutely. Talent-wise, I agree with you, and I would personally start him ahead of probably everybody else, excluding, of course, a Lautaro or a Julian, but just in general, ahead of the other forwards. I don't know. It's an interesting one with Dybala. It's always been interesting. His national team career has always been a little bit different from some of the others, and now at 30, 31 years old, about to get maybe potentially his real first big chance with Argentina, at least in terms of being a starter with no Messi, with no Di Maria. That's interesting. And, I'm going to take a look at the comments, and we're going to pull up some comments here. Let's take a look. Mixed Memorabilia, hello. Thank you for joining us. If I'm not mistaken, Mixed Memorabilia over in the UK. Let's see. And he says, Dybala in the squad makes 100%. It makes sense. And despite the pass, I hope Scaloni backs Dybala and gives him a consistent run. As do I, Evan. Evan with a very good question. What position would he play, though? There might be better options that Scaloni's planning on using. And that's a question I'll throw to everybody, and that's a question I'll throw to you as well, Osvaldo. It is, what position do you play Dybala in? Essentially, if you were the coach.
I mean, in Roma and throughout most of his career, he plays as a right winger, but not that typical winger that dribbles and has a lot of speed, but more of as a creator. It would be similar to what Messi's position, and that's why Dybala didn't really have many minutes in the national team throughout his career, and it was because of Messi. But I agree, maybe he would start him behind a striker like Lautaro Martinez or Julian Alvarez, or maybe, yes, he will go more as a right winger. I don't know. What I know is that he feels more comfortable playing or starting more from the right. I don't see him starting from the left, like, for example, Nico Gonzalez.
No. I agree. I completely agree with that. I think if he does end up playing, if he does end up starting, it's going to be more on that right side or having that maybe hybrid role or a bit of a free role similar to what Messi kind of has. But for sure, I see him on the right. Not a traditional winger. We're not a Garnacho or a Nico Gonzalez, but just, more on that right-hand side. And by the way, as I mentioned earlier, we are live on X, we're live on YouTube, we're live on Facebook. So hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, the follow button, the notifications button. We have a lot of stuff coming up. Taking a look at the chat here, Rian and Rihanna, very good. It shows how he loves to play for his country, declining huge money, and only concern about him is his injury. That's another thing, of course. It is his fitness issues. Often he does get called up for Argentina, but misses out due to not being 100% fit, but hopefully that's not the case this time. And John, good morning, John, all the way from Malaysia. In another realm, Dybala would have been the guy for Argentina. This is his moment to finally be the guy. And if Messi retires, the number 10 is his. Janet, very excited for Dybala, as are we. George, welcome, George. Messi out means Dybala finally got his chance. Va romper. Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Paulo Miguel, Dybala is a magician, but where does he fit in? That's what we're talking about here. Elmer saying Dybala as a false nine. Maybe it'd be interesting to see if Scaloni does utilize him as a false nine. I'd kind of be surprised about that, if I'm being honest. What else do we have here? Mixed memorabilia, not seeing Dybala in Copa America, and now making the team means Scaloni sees the obvious Messi replacement. All right. Overall, I think it's fair to say we're excited about Dybala starting. I know we're ahead, right? We're about a week and a half away now, maybe 2 weeks away. Everybody, let me know in the chat, and I'm going to ask you as well as Valdo, and I'll answer this too. What would be your front three or front two going up against Chile? I mean, do you put Dybala on the bench? Do you start him? Do you have him maybe more on the right side? Lautaro and Nico Gonzalez? Do you fit Garnacho in there? Matias Soule? How would you, just the front three, let's say, not necessarily the whole team, but how would you fit, or what would be your top three?
I think it's the time for Dybala. I have no doubt about it. He's been waiting for his time all this years, and I think that the main reason why he didn't really play, and we were talking about that, is because Messi was starting, and of course that makes totally sense. They have very similar roles, and I think that most coaches didn't start him, and I agree with that. Maybe putting two players that play really similar can be kind of difficult. I remember him saying it. I think it was before the 2018 World Cup, that a lot of people criticized him because he kind of said that it was difficult to play with Messi because of this role thing. If you ask me, I would start Dybala on the right. Scaloni is not really a big fan of playing with two strikers, so I would choose either Juliano or Lautaro. I would start with Lautaro, especially now that he scored in the Copa America final. He started to score a lot of goals with the national team, and important ones, so I would start Lautaro. And then in the left side, I'm gonna go with your favorite, Roy. I'm gonna go with Nico Gonzalez. He had a great Copa America, I would say.
Yeah, great Copa America final even. I know he missed some chances, but he did very, very well. I'm going to agree with you on that, and I'll get to the chat and see what everybody thinks. I'm going to agree. I'm going to go Dybala on the right-hand side. I'll go Lautaro up front, and then on the left-hand side, probably Nico Gonzalez. I think he's going to be needed. Maybe more so versus Colombia rather than Chile. Maybe versus Chile, I'd go with Garnacho, and then versus Colombia, I'd go maybe with a more, a higher work rate in Nico Gonzalez. So that would be kind of my front three in terms of that. But I agree with you. Let's take a look at the chat. Wow, from South Korea, Amado Bravado. Thank you for joining us from South Korea. Let's see what else. Mixed memorabilia saying Lautaro, Dybala, or Alvarez, or Nico Gonzalez for Alvarez as well. Mixing it up, says George. Hello, Master Azor. Thank you very much for joining us. This is one of those, I'll say, misleading statistics, and this is very true. Dybala only has 3 goals for Argentina in 38 matches, which, that's what, 1 goal every 13 games or 12 games or so with Argentina. On paper, not great, but when you look at it, he's not starting many matches. He's not getting a big string of matches, consecutive matches in a row. And that's unfair to him. That's unfair.
Well, he's scoring in the Finalissima, for example.
It's true. Yeah, you're right. After coming on as a substitute. As a substitute, he scored. He scored versus Chile in the 2019 Copa America in the 3rd place match.
Yeah, right.
Another good goal by him. So it's. I don't think it's fair to really just judge him based on that. Let's see what we have. Elmer saying he should start and sub out at the half, then play Nico to disrupt the tired legs of their opponent. Not bad. I like that. That's a good idea. BC, yeah, it's a rematch of the final versus Colombia already. Evan saying, I have a feeling Scaloni would experiment with Lautaro and Alvarez. Dybala is getting up in age. He's 30, I think, going to be soon 31. For a footballer, that's, yes, you may be beginning to get towards the end of your career, but that's still relatively young. I don't consider him old.
Of course, and you take into consideration players like Di Maria, Otamendi, well, even Messi. Of course, Messi. When we analyze this, we always leave Messi aside.
Messi
right?
aside.
But I think Scaloni has no problem on leaving those players over 30 because it showed that most of the times they can be as relevant as those that are young.
Oh yeah, definitely, 1,000%. I mean, just for example, look at Di Maria and how well of a Copa America he had, how well he played in the final. Uh, sometimes age, and especially in football now in sports, it's kind of just a number. It's really kind of just a number. HMD saying Dybala does not fit the system. We'll see. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt. If he does, I say replace Messi, quote unquote, replace Messi, but kind of on the pitch, give him that freedom, give him that free role. You never know. You never know how he can do. Janet saying it took a while for Lautaro to shine with the national team. Perhaps the same will be true for Dybala now that he is also being given the chance with no Messi and no more Di Maria as well. That's a valid argument. That's a valid point. I like that.
Yeah, we'll see if Messi. Well, it's the debate that we've been talking after the Copa America. If Messi really plays the World Cup, we all want him to play. I think even Dybala wants him to play. We all love Messi and we would love him to continue in the national team. But I think that's also going to be important because, yeah, we were mentioning how it's just a number. But if Messi continues until 2026, and probably Dybala is not going to be a really important part of the team, if that's the case, then yeah, it gets more difficult. I think that in these two matches, Dybala has the chance, especially also in the trains, to show all he's got. And whenever Messi is not fit, that lately is happening often. I think Dybala has to get his chance and try to be a good starter for Argentina.
To take it, no, for sure. And we saw it at the Copa America. We've seen it in some of the qualifiers, specifically, for example, versus Brazil, where Messi is not necessarily expected to play the 90 minutes anymore. Versus Brazil at the Maracanã when Argentina won 1-0, he got substituted. He got replaced. We saw it at the Copa America final due to injury. He got replaced. So the fact that he is getting up there in age, he knows his body. Scaloni is using him very, very well, I think. He might not play every single match 90 minutes. So having Dybala come off the bench, I think that's a good thing. I really, really think that's a good thing.
Yes, and Di Maria is not in the team anymore. And of course, most of the time Scaloni used Di Maria on the left side. But I think that one of the main reasons why why Dybala didn't go to the Copa America is because I also think that Scaloni thought about Di Maria maybe playing in the right side if Messi was not fit. In this particular case of these two matches coming up, it's not going to be neither Di Maria or Messi. So I think that can be positive for Paulo.
Oh, absolutely. If you look at, kind of the substitutes or whatnot, you have Garnacho, you have Nico Gonzalez, you have Carboni, you have Matias Soulé. Those are four, Gonzalez aside, but those are 3 or 4 of the younger players. And you have Simeone as well. It's the younger players that don't necessarily have a lot of experience with Argentina. And maybe that's, maybe that plays into Dybala's advantage. It plays into his hands in terms of, hey, I am maybe one of the veterans in a way of this national team. He won a World Cup. He scored a great clearance towards the end, scored a winning penalty. So he does have that experience for sure, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's interesting because you mentioned Juliano Simone. I think he's more of a striker. I honestly haven't followed him very much. But in the Olympic Games, he played more as a right winger or right midfielder. Yeah. So there you have another player that can play in that position. Of course, he's young, and I personally don't think he's going to have minutes in these 2 matches. But it was a big surprise. Again, another player in that position,
Why not? Give him, he did pretty well at the Olympics. Call him up, have him train with the national team. Is he going to play? Probably not. But, still get him to train at least and get that experience going. Get that experience going with Argentina. Mixed memorabilia. The thing with this Argentina team is they will fully embrace a player coming in. This is the institution of Argentine football. Very true as well. And whether that's Dybala or any of the other youngsters, we saw videos of the team celebrating after they won the Copa America, bringing Garnacho into the chants, to the singing and the dancing. So it's definitely a thing. It is absolutely a thing. HMD saying Thiago Almada should be selected. It it shows you the depth that Argentina has right now, whether it's in midfield or in attack. Very, very much.
Yeah, it's also true in the case of Thiago Almada. Now he moved to Botafogo, if I'm not mistaken, no? Or to
he is no, Thiago Almada now. Well, he's playing in Brazil. He joined
Mineiro?
recently. Sorry,
Mineiro?
Botafogo. No, Botafogo.
Botafogo.
Yeah,
Botafogo.
he joined
Yeah.
Botafogo. So
Yeah, I said it right. I think that the main problem with Almada was him not going to Europe in the last couple of years.
Yeah, that was maybe one of the things that maybe hurt him in terms of not always getting selected for the Argentina national team. Looking at HMD saying, I started with Garnacho and Lautaro, but the right wing, I'm not sure. We have time, and Scaloni has time to think about it a little bit too. All right, that was a lot of Dybala, a lot of good talk, some positive talk, because it's been kind of a little bit down lately when it comes to him. You know, kind of at one point we thought he was leaving Europe, not part of the national team. Now he's staying in Europe and part of the national team. Let's take a look. And well, Evan's talking about, Barco. What about our left back? We could talk about that. Maybe take a little 2 minutes. Acuna now with River Plate. Acuna not picked for Argentina. Essentially, it's between Tagliafico and Barco. And Barco now joining Sevilla as well. He's going to be playing in Spain. One of a big move and a good move for him.
No, yes, for sure. I think the left back position and right back position is where we're struggling the most lately to really have a player that you say, oh, okay, here we have a great starter, I think Tagliafico, every time he played, especially in the Copa America, he did really well, very solid. And now Leon is not doing that great. But yeah, every time he plays with the national team, he plays solid, 7 points, even 8 points every game. I really don't see Barco starting, but who knows? Maybe, as we were saying, maybe Scaloni thinks of these two match days of the qualifiers. Maybe he can try a little bit more with different players, with youngsters. I think it'd be very interesting to see Barco having some minutes.
Yeah, I would like to see him get some minutes. It's World Cup qualifiers. You bring him on as a substitute. Why not? And you get him, or you give him that experience as well. Especially when you consider the left backs that Argentina have right now. Technically on the team, it's Tagliafico, Barco, and if you want to count Lisandro Martinez as well, even though in all likelihood he's going to be a center back, starting ahead of Nicolas Otamendi. So not that many left backs, as you mentioned, in the team right now.
Scaloni tried with Gonzalez, with Nico.
Nico Gonzalez as well. Yeah, Nicolas Gonzalez, of course, yeah. So we'll see what Scaloni's thinking about when it comes to the left backs and the attack. We were just talking about Barco and how he joined Sevilla, leaving Brighton. Another kind of big name move here. We were just talking about him a couple of minutes ago. Nicolas Gonzalez, leaving Fiorentina and joining Juventus. Everybody in the chat, what do you guys think of this? Well, what does everybody think of this move here? What do you think of this one, Osvaldo? I'm happy. However, I'll say there is a but for me.
Okay. I want to hear it, but I think these are good news for Nico Gonzalez for Argentina. I think that Juventus is a bigger club than Fiorentina. I think the current Juventus team has more aspirations than Fiorentina in the league and the European competitions. And I think overall it's a good news. I hope he starts most of the games. And I'm actually excited to see him. I want to see if he plays in the left side, in the right side, as a left wing or right wing. But I want to hear your bet, Roy.
No, I'm happy with them going to Juventus. It's a club that will be competing for the league title, right? And I get that and I understand that. With that said, I would have liked to have seen him outside of Italy. I don't know if it would have been the Premier League or maybe La Liga, but out of Italy. And I know he played for Stuttgart just a couple of years ago, and which is crazy to think when you look at his progression, not just with the national team, but his club career in general. When he made the jump over to Europe, Stuttgart, and he was kind of lost in the shuffle a little bit. He was lost in the shuffle a little bit, and then made the jump over to Fiorentina, did very, very well. But look, I'm happy for him. I'm excited for him joining Juventus, but I would have liked to have maybe seen him outside of Italy. And that's just just for me, because I think he's more than good enough to play in the Premier League. I think he's more than good enough to be playing in Spain. I think he can play in any league in the world. But
I agree. Physically, I'm sure he can play in the Premier League in any league. I'm thinking the last Argentinian player in Juventus was Carlos Alcaraz, who is now in.
Yeah, and he made the jump over to Brazil. I think Botafogo as well.
Yeah. He didn't
Botafogo.
really have many minutes.
No,
Yeah,
and then you have
it's not the same, right? I think Nicolas Gonzalez will start.
no Nico will get some minutes for sure. Absolutely for sure.
Yeah.
He'll get some minutes. They got him for that.
Today, Juventus won 3-0 against Hellas Verona. I'm trying to see who they play as left winger. They played Samuel Bangula, a Belgian player. He's 20 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, I honestly don't know much about him. But I would say that, yeah, it's not that they have a really player with a lot of experience in that position. So you would say that Nicolas Gonzalez would start for.
Oh no, he'll be the starter for sure. He'll be the starter for sure. And thank you, Amado. Amado correcting me there. Alcaraz went to Flamengo. Excuse me, not Botafogo. We were just talking about Thiago Almada. He went to Botafogo. Thank you, Amado. Yes, he went to Flamengo. But no, I think Nico Gonzalez is going to Juventus to be a starter. I don't think he's going to be. I don't think he's going to be on the bench. Let's take a look at what other stuff we have here. Master Azor is saying it's a good move for Nico Gonzalez. Mixed memorabilia. Gonzalez to Juventus is a good move. It's a legendary club that's building towards success again. Elmer is saying Juventus has more prestige. It's a good move. HMD is saying they also want Sancho. That's going to be an interesting one for them, but I'm not being biased. I would take Nico Gonzalez out of Jadon Sancho. Just saying.
Nico Gonzalez is only 26 years old.
He's still very young.
Yeah, no, so young.
He is still very, very young. And he's versatile, as you mentioned. He can play left back. He has played left back for Argentina in World Cup qualifiers. Remember in 2020, I believe it was versus Ecuador at La Bombonera, but it was an empty Bombonera. He played as a left back. I think he even scored in that game as well. So he can certainly, he's versatile. He is absolutely versatile.
And you know what's weird from players that play as wingers or left back or like on the side of the field, that he jumps and has such a good header. In the Copa America final, most of those aerial duels he won it.
He was winning, and he presses a lot. He's versatile. He's good in the air. We always kind of joke around how he gets injured in every single match. He gets hit very, very hard, but he gets right back up and he continues to push. And he's a big addition to any club.
That's the main reason why I think coaches like Scaloni choose him sometimes even before choosing Di Maria. You have a player in Nico Gonzalez that can defend, that can attack, that is so complete, and that's why he fits in every strategy. If you play against a team that you have to defend a little bit more, like Brazil or Uruguay, you put Nico Gonzalez. If you have to attack, you can also put Nico Gonzalez. Yes, with the national team, maybe he was criticized because of not finishing the plays very well. And I agree sometimes with that. I remember even Messi, one of the last couple of matches, kind of shouting at him because he didn't pass the ball. But well, in the Copa America final, he finished well the goal that then was disallowed by offside, and he played a great final.
Oh, he was great. He helped shift the momentum even more into Argentina's favor when he was brought in because of his pressuring and his speed and his energy overall. He's a great addition again to any team, to any team. Let's take a look at what the chat's saying. BC, all right. BC saying Lautaro should join the La Liga or Premier League. They will dominate the Champions League. HMD, I know Osvaldo saw this. I'm not going to stay too much on this about Sergio Romero not saving any penalty against Cruzeiro. Look, it's one of those things. Romero's very good at penalty kicks. He had one shootout where it just kind of happened.
No, of course. And as a Boca fan, we owe everything to Romero in the last couple of months, years. I mean, we reached the final of the Libertadores basically almost only because of him and how he saved us in the penalty kicks. He didn't have a good night. He didn't not only save any of the penalties, but he didn't guess right. But I have zero things to say against Chiquito Romero. I think that the main issue was to receive a red card in the second number 9 of the first half. That's That's what was bad, what was wrong, you know.
No, yeah, yeah. And look, it's one of these games, and it does happen. It does happen, and BC's mentioning it too. Romero versus the Netherlands in the semifinals in 2014, then versus Colombia in the quarterfinals of the Copa America the next year. He was a hero. He was absolutely a hero. HMD saying, I don't hate him as a United fan. He also won the Europa League in 2017 with us, but that's what I think. All right, very good. And BC talking about Julian Alvarez. Was smart to stay in one of those. He ended up going to Atletico Madrid. He finally started for Atletico, didn't play the whole game, but I saw bits and parts of that game. I thought he did, reasonably well, all things considered. Let's continue. One guy who did score, somebody that did score, Cristian Romero scoring for Tottenham Hotspur, a great header, and he played very, very good. It's still very early. I'll let everybody in the chat answer this, and I'm going to ask you as well, Osvaldo. How long do you think Romero stays with Tottenham? Do you see him eventually moving, going to maybe Madrid, where he's being rumored, or maybe elsewhere, or do you think he stays with them for a long time?
Yeah, I mean, there were rumors of him going to Real Madrid. I think we're talking about one of the best center backs in the world right now. And it's not just in the last couple of months. We're talking about years already, about Romero being an incredible center back. And yeah, I wasn't surprised with the rumors of Real Madrid. I think that he would fit very well in such a big team as Real Madrid. I would like to see him somewhere else. He's in the Premier League, in my opinion, the best league in the world right now. But yeah, he's not in the top tier 3 teams in the league. Tottenham usually struggles to get into the Champions League, and the team is not the best of the best. And if we're talking about a centre back that is the best of the best, he deserves to be in a team that is the best of the best. So yeah, we'll see. Hopefully this season for Tottenham, it's a little bit better than the last couple of seasons. But answering to your question, I would like to see him somewhere else.
Yeah, I'm the same. No disrespect to Tottenham at all, but just based off of what you said as well, though, about being the best of the best, playing with the best of the best, I think he has to go to a club that will be competing for league titles. Evan is saying he almost scored twice. Madrid would be amazing. They just have so much depth. He would look great in their jersey. As a Barcelona fan, I have to disagree, but yes, he would look very good. HMD saying this is his last year because they don't win anything. Rihanna and Rihanna, I guess kind of one of our next things we can maybe talk about. Looking forward to seeing how Como will progress. I mean, Nico Paz, Perrone, both of them playing for Como. One coming from Madrid, the other coming from Manchester City. They're an interesting team to watch. They're one to follow for sure.
Yes. No, they have Perrone, Nico Paz, Sergio Roberto. A good team to follow.
Yeah. The other one as well, Juan Musso, maybe Atletico Madrid, Diego Simeone going after a lot of Argentines. Juan Musso, the latest one who could be joining them from Atalanta. If he becomes a starter, I'm very happy with this. If he ends up staying on the bench, I don't see how this is really any good for him.
Yeah, I mean, you have Oblak. I don't think he's going to serve for Atletico Madrid. But if you also see Atalanta, they also have a goalkeeper for the league and a goalkeeper for the Europa League. And that's kind of what is going to happen with Atletico Madrid too, I would guess. So I like the move because I think Atletico Madrid, Atalanta had a good season, the last one. I mean, they won the
Europa League.
Yeah, they won the Europa League. But I think Atletico Madrid, they would be adding another Argentinian to the list, which would be good. But I agree with you. He has to have some minutes, at least in one of the competitions.
No, absolutely. He has to be a starter at some point for a team or at least a tournament, a competition, at least.
And let me ask you something, because we have 4 goalkeepers in the list of the next World Cup qualifier games, which is of course Emiliano Martinez, which without this any doubt he would be the start. But I want you to order me the other 3: Walter Benitez, Jerónimo Rulli, Juan Musso, in your consideration. Who would you? Because Hopefully, nothing happens to Emi Martinez. Nothing have happened in the recent years.
Of course.
But you never know. And I think that it's a position that I don't know if we really know who can be the second goalkeeper.
That's a very good question, and I'll ask the chat as well. The top 4 goalkeepers in your order. Obviously, Dibu Martinez, number 1, Emiliano Martinez. Number 2 for me, I'll go with Juan Musso. Juan Musso, number 2. Number 3, I'm going to go Walter Benitez. And number 4, I'm going to go Geronimo Rulli. That's going to be my top 4 in that order. We got Emiliano Martinez, Juan Musso, Walter Benitez, and Geronimo Rulli. Nothing against Rulli. I mean, someone has to finish in 4th place, but for me, it was him, or it is him. Amado talking about Gazzaniga. I don't know if you saw what happened with Gazzaniga, very unfortunate, versus Atletico Madrid, where he handled the ball outside of the penalty area. It led to Atletico getting a free kick and Griezmann scoring. It's a mistake. It happens. I rate him, by the way, very highly, but that's my top 4. I don't know about you, Osvaldo. Your top 4?
Yeah, it would be something similar to that. Of course, Emiliano Martinez first, and then I would put Juan Musso second too. I think that out of the 4, is the one that least chances had with the national team. I remember Walter Benitez, playing. Was it a friendly game before the Copa? Yes.
Right before the Copa.
Yes. But yeah, maybe Geronimo Rulli and Juan Musso didn't have many chances. I mean, Geronimo Rulli had some chances with the under 23, especially in the both Olympics he played. But yeah, I would choose something very similar. I would go with Martinez, Musso, Benitez, and Rulli.
And Rulli, there you are. So we do agree on that one. We do agree on that one. HMD saying Rulli was good at the Olympics. He was. I thought he did pretty well. He did pretty well. Janet talking about the goalkeepers and Juan Musso potentially going Atletico Madrid. La Liga teams tend to do the same thing. One goalkeeper for the league and another for the Copa del Rey. Mixed memorabilia. It's clear El Cholo is making a big play for the Champions League, and it's going to be heavily influenced by the best national team in the world, the Argentina national team, of course. And Gallardo is doing the same with River at the Libertadores with Ledesma and Franco Armani. And Franco Armani, that's another one. So, it's not a bad concept, not a bad idea. Teams have been doing it for several years now. Several years. On that note, Osvaldo, was there anything else you wanted to touch upon before we close things up? Anything in the chat as well?
Not really. I'm really excited for the next couple of games. I hope Scaloni try different things out, different players that maybe didn't have a solid chance. I would like to see Barco. I would like to see Soule. There's a lot of players I would like to see. I don't think all of them will have a chance because this is not a friendly game. We need to compete. We need to win. Yes, we're first in the table, but I think he's gonna try a little bit. But at the same time, I don't see players like Simeone maybe really starting or having some minutes. But yeah, let's hope to continue winning. We have Chile, which is in the last couple of years has been a nice rivalry with them, and then Colombia that they're looking for the rematch. For all the Colombians, I want to tell them that this is not a rematch because we won the important one, but it's gonna be interesting.
No, well, it's gonna be 2 interesting matches, yes, as you said, versus Chile at home. And then the big one versus Colombia. That's on paper, anyways. That's the more difficult of the 2 games for sure. I want to see. We're gonna see some changes no matter what. With no Messi and no Di Maria, we're bound to get some changes, and especially when you look at the number of players that have been called up. It's exciting. It's a very, very exciting time to be an Argentina fan, at least for the last several years in terms of winning stuff. But now we're seeing this team winning and winning without Messi, and that's crazy, but it's true. And the team's performing very well. And these are going to be 2 big tests for Argentina, especially the one versus Colombia. So I'm very, very much excited to see what will ultimately happen in the World Cup qualifiers. But time will tell. Time will tell. On that note, I want to say a big, big thank you to everybody for joining us, everybody in the chat. If you're watching us on repeat on YouTube or on X or wherever on Facebook, let us know down below in the comments. Where are you watching us from? What do you think of the move of Paulo Dybala making it to the national team? Paulo Dybala staying at Roma, Nico Gonzalez, everything we spoke about, the goalkeepers, let us know down below. Follow us on X, Follow us on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook. We are everywhere, and we have a lot of stuff coming up. On that note, a big thank you. My name is Roy Nemer of Mundo Albiceleste.com, and I was joined by Osvaldo Godoy of Mundo Albiceleste.com. A big thank you. Until next time, everybody, take care.